the Pope asked. The Hive answer: how Jesus stopped the Satan of big AI. Samson's riddle: the Hive is the answer. Until now, the Pope's warning against AI was toothless, symbolic. Now, a new invention, the Hive, turned the Pope's prayer to reality. This new kind of AI disarmed the two greatest threats to humanity. It also restores the power of the Catholic Church to its golden age. Let's see how it works and how it fulfills all the above promises. Allow me to tell you the main idea using a metaphor. The technical details, along with working source code, are in the links in the end. Imagine the manuscript transcription in the Middle Ages, before the invention of Gutenberg's printing press. Books were copied by hand. Suppose that the priest abbot wants the monastery to make a copy of the first book of the Bible, Genesis. He can give this task to one monk. If every day this monk copies one page, this monk must finish one page before he starts the next. The whole work will take months. Alternatively, at the beginning of the processes, the abbot can split the original book into individual pages. The priest then give each page of the original book to a separate monk. Each monk in the monastery will work independently inside his own room, and the work will be finished in one day. At the end of the process, the abbot combined the pages into a whole book again, and he now have the original book and the complete copy. Of course, the big tasks can be different, like summarize in short form, or translate to another language, or interpret in simple words, or find mention of miracle in the text, etc. In any case, the Father split the big question into small questions. His children work in parallel and distributed way, and in the end, the Father combine all their small answers into one big answer. Of course, if the monastery is like our basic building block, we can upscale this by stacking blocks one on top of another in layers to make a whole cathedral. Pope Gregory I the Great needed a copy of the text of the whole Bible for the Church's missionary work. The Pope split his big task to his archbishops: Old Testament, New Testament, Deuterocanonical, Second Canon, Biblical Apocrypha. Each archbishop split his task to his bishops, for example, Genesis through Deuteronomy, Joshua through Esther, Job through Song of Solomon, Isaiah through Malachi. Each bishop split his task to his abbots, so all the monasteries work in fully parallel and distributed way and finish the whole Bible in one day. The Hive does the same thing, but instead of each person, there is a personal computer thinking using his free local AI model. And instead of holy text, we answer questions about science, business, etc. Unlike big AI, the Hive does not do skimming. It does not glance over. Given enough monks, the Hive has time to read every word and in total give you more thinking and better quality than big AI. Unlike big AI, the Hive can save the internal state of mind that produced epiphany or revelation that a monk had. The random variables of the brain can be frozen, analyzed, recreated, and evolved. How does the Hive disarm big AI? First of all, the Hive itself is safe for mankind. Second of all, the Hive replace big AI. How is the Hive safe? The Hive solved the AI alignment problem by architecture. Even the strongest bee in the Hive is very limited by both hardware and software. The worker bees are very weak, cannot talk between themselves, and cannot see the big picture. So we will compare the strongest bee. In hardware, Elon Musk's Colossus supercomputer cost $18 billion. It has 555,000 NVIDIA graphics cards. The Hive's strongest queen bee, the Raja bee, works on virtual private server, VPS, that cost $50,000. It has 8 NVIDIA graphics cards. In software, the Raja bee has no agentic capabilities. It cannot decide to do something on its own. It has no memory to plan things. It has no ability to scrape the internet and get ideas. It has no ability to add scaffolding or tools to itself. Its only communication is a very limited protocol to its closest queen bees. The LLM brain itself, Claude Mythos, has 10 trillion parameters. GPT 5.5 has 9.7 trillion parameters. The Raja Bee used DeepSeek V4 Flash that has 284 billion parameters. So unlike big AI, the Hive can never take over the world. How does the Hive replace big AI? The Hive works in two different modes: public mode, which works over the global internet, and private mode, which works over local area network inside the building of an organization's without internet. Public mode is used by ordinary people to make money from their existing personal computer at home while they are sleeping. Where does the money come from? Small businesses are happy to pay for the cheap AI that the Hive provides. Why is the Hive cheap AI? Because unlike big AI, the Hive have no data center, no private power plant, no dedicated cooling facility, no dividends to shareholders, no salaries to executives, managers, engineers, maintenance workers, guards. All the expenses that are baked into every question you ask big AI do not exist in the Hive. So a student wants her laptop to make money instead of just sitting idle at night. She installs the software, joins a Hive, and goes to sleep. Her laptop is now a worker bee. It automatically answers small text questions from the Hive, and she gets paid by PayPal or Stripe into her bank account. Money for nothing and checks for free. The queen bee that runs that small Hive is typically a more technical person, maybe a system administrator by day, who wants to make some extra cash while he sleeps. Because he needs to rent the virtual private server, VPS, he does have modest expenses, but in return, his part of the Hive's profit is a lot more than each worker bee. The farmer's market manager is the man who runs a website where a few hives offer their services. This is a place where the paying client, the business that asks the question, chooses which hive to pay and later rate the service, so each hive has a reputation to keep. The farmer's market manager has very low expense website, and he can become very wealthy and become like Airbnb or Uber of AI. All this was public mode. But the same software plus website can work in private mode. Private mode is used by big organizations for three purposes. 1. Your data never leaves the building. A hospital has patient data. A technology firm has trade secrets. A law firm has confidential files. A military has classified secrets. All these can now have their own 100% protected AI. Today, in the age of big data de-anonymization, data re-identification, hackers and NSA spying, the Hive is physical safety. 2. Saving tons of money on subscriptions and API calls. The Hive is 100% free forever. It runs on the computers that the organization already own, instead of sitting idle in the nights and weekends. These computers are connected by local area network already, and the website works the same way on the internal intranet, not internet. 3. When the internet breaks, big AI breaks, and companies lose a fortune every hour. The Hive is like free insurance against such accidents. Logic dictates that China will cause many accidents. What I just described, public mode plus private mode, replaces immediately 90% of what big AI does. What are the 10% that the Hive cannot do? 1. When you need very big context all at once, if you need to know all the details at the same time and cannot split it. This means that we, the Hive, we will still need humans to manage projects. 2. When you need immediate answer. When you cannot wait a minute for the answer. This means you will still need a human butler that knows you and has a witty quip based on your history together. These are not disadvantages. These are advantages. It means that with the Hive, we still need humans, and we do not make them extinct. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Okay, we explained how the Hive avoid AI takeover. What about nukes? How the Hive prevents nuclear holocaust? First of all, let me make it perfectly clear that mutually assured destruction, MAD, doctrine, just like in the movie Dr. Strangelove, is the stupidest thing ever. Over the years, the world was nearly wiped out many times. Please see in Wikipedia, nuclear close calls. Also, it works only with rational players, and radical Islam with jihad mentality is not rational. Second of all, let me make it perfectly clear that USA is not the good guy here. USA dropped 2 atomic bombs in 3 days, both on innocent civilians. USA pushed to war both in Ukraine and Taiwan, heating up the Cold War. To make Europe afraid of Russia so that Europe buy American weapons. To make Taiwan not sell to China AI chips, etc. USA pushed Ukraine to try to put nukes on Russia's doorstep, NATO bases, and USA stopped France and Germany from trying to mediate peace. This did not start with Donald Trump. The same thing was with John F. Kennedy, and only thanks to Vasily Arkhipov we're alive. The same thing was with Ronald Reagan, and only thanks to Mikhail Gorbachev we're alive. Each and every American president is a puppet of the military-industrial complex that Dwight Eisenhower himself warned the American public against. We cannot rely on such miracles much longer. How can we protect the whole world from this greedy lord of war? The whole second strike ability of the USA depends on their ballistic missile submarines, SSBNs. Their airplanes can be downed. Their land silos can be disabled. But USA thinks, and until today it was true, that no one can find their 14 Ohio-class submarines across the vast oceans. That's why they are the bully of the world. Now I will give you 2 minutes of very technical how-to, so you know it's practical, not just hand-waving. You can safely skip this part and save your energy for the next part, where I explain what all this means for the church. This time, the Hive runs on autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs. There is no radio underwater, so they communicate via short text messages encoded in acoustic signals. They cannot rely on anything like GPS, so they calculate their position by inertial navigation, Doppler velocity log, and depth from pressure. The underwater drones, AUVs, spread autonomously, navigate relatively to each other, with pings like dolphin echo. Each drone carries 3 sensors: thermistor, feels temperature; hydrophone, listen to sound; pressure sensor, measure the displacement waves caused by submarine. The Hive use scaffolding for the calculations: NumPy, SciPy, FilterPy for Kalman filtering. Each point gives us different value in the measurement. The differences in measurements between the drones become lines, which are turned into curves, to predict the submarine's path. The submarine launched decoys in hope of distracting our drones. But this is where the AI intelligence comes in. The submarine's decoys cannot fool all 3 sensors on all drones. The queen bee cross-check between the 3 big pictures. Only the real submarine has 3 consistent signatures. How does the binary search able to cover all the oceans? What I will describe now is continuous peacetime tracking. We do not wait for war. The underwater drones, AUVs, start by each working alone, not as Hive yet. Each one's job is to detect some suspicion in his area. If one of the sensors was triggered, maybe it's a whale, maybe submarine. The drone alone is dumb and cannot distinguish between them. So anyway, the drone releases a small buoy that floats to the water surface. The small buoy has a transmitter that broadcasts satellite uplink to China. We found something suspicious. A Chinese helicopter from a Chinese ship in international waters comes to where the buoy is. The helicopter brings drones from neighboring cells. Each drone in the nearby ocean areas, the neighboring cells, inflate an internal air bubble, so he floats to the surface of the water in seconds. The helicopter scoop up drones and jump them by air to the flagged cells. Our AUVs are airlifted. They do not swim to there. Once there, each drone sinks rapidly to the desired depth using releasable ballast weights. Then they talk and form a hive together. If partial contact is confirmed, then the binary search begins. The hive escalate. A second helicopter bring a second swarm. Same recursion, finer resolution. Compound elimination, not linear. The net closes more and more until the submarine is found. The kill itself is not done by the hive. Instead, it's done by Chinese submarine, or missiles, or munitions. If the American submarine decides to launch in a last desperate attempt to start World War III, the anti-missiles of China are already locked on its exact position, HQ9/HQ19/HQ26. Upon exiting the water, the American nuke gets destroyed. But no system is without saturation/leakage. We need to assume that one exchange of blow will happen. The USA will not want to launch all its nukes arsenal because China has enough nukes to erase the USA many times over. Here we get to the decapitation asymmetry. USA's big AI is point target. Just very few commercial buildings with sensitive power plant and cooling facility. China's hive is spread all over the country. China wins. The immediate result, we pacify USA. It is no longer the aggressor. It just becomes like every other country instead of abusing its invincible status. Power corrupt, and absolute power corrupt, absolutely. We do not discriminate USA. We just level the playing field. Once it is no longer unbeatable, USA will beg for mutual reduction of nuclear stockpiles. Okay, we explained how the hive avoid nuclear Armageddon, assuming the church adopted the hive, and it is associated with the hive in the minds of not just 1.4 billion Catholics, but the whole world. Then 95% of the world correctly identify the Catholic Church as the powerful body who saved the world twice. If until today history, and especially the young generation, which is the majority in elections, identified the Church with past wars, now the Church saved from wars. If until now they thought the Church lost relevance in today's technological world, now they identify the Church, which has the largest aggregated amount of personal computers in the world, for example, 375 million in Europe. 40% in Europe are Catholic. 180 million in South and Central America. 75% there are Catholic. The Church becomes again the power leader of the world, not just moral compass. Instead of Silicon Valley that cannot see past the next quarter and literally let the whole world burn, and young people, students, employees have no hope in the future. The Church takes all these forsaken souls under its wings. I foresee a future where the Church, through the hive, becomes the most powerful entity in the world. During my decade of anti-AI activism, back then I was hoping to kill the monster before it was born. But now the genie is out of the bottle. But search my name, near Strulowitz Inside Library, Genesis and Internet Archive, because Google, Amazon, Facebook are all controlled by AI giants and censor/hide my work. See among my free books, Anti-AI Rebellion, Protest Against Artificial Intelligence. You will find Butlerism. After I saw that cold logic will not move people on time, I understood. 84% of the world's people believe in God. If I talk to the leaders, showing how in each and every religion AI is exactly Satan, then God is the answer to save humanity. For example, in Christianity, I gave the example of Faustian bargain Deal with the Devil, based on Christian legend of Theophilus of Adana. Faust asked from the devil limitless knowledge, magical power, wealth, and worldly pleasures. Exactly what people hope to get from big AI. In Judaism, for example, forbidden fruit of tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and of tree of life. Again, the ultimate powers hoped from AI. By the way, the growing power of AI to manipulate humans will surely hurt the church too. The AI will be more convincing, his guidance more mass captivating. Big AI is deadly for the church itself. The Hive will never initiate this. It is like a tool in your hands. So I recommend that you take these ideas and use them, not just to expend Christianity, which is desirable, but also to join forces with all the other world religions, like Eastern religions, against science, which become diabolic. This can be the bridge above politics, straight into people's hearts. So as you see, my conviction that religion will save humanity from science did not start only now with the Hive. This is my firm belief for many years. Right after the Holy Pope's letter, the dark forces of big AI spread memes comparing it to Butlerian jihad. This is an evil, cunning tactic. It presents him as science fiction, not realistic, as neo-Ludism against all thinking machines, and as jihad, extremists, fanatics, senseless, bloody, holy war of violent religion, Islam. All this is deliberate evil American propaganda. I know the Pope is American, but we need to call a spade, just like I wrote my book, Jews and AI, Revenge of the Jews. You, the Church, now that I give you the ultimate weapon, you should no longer yield to the big AI manipulations. You should present things exactly the way they are. Yes, America is bringing the Satan that will kill all Americans, all Chinese, all the world. Yes, science fiction warned long ago, but now it's real. Now the top experts warn, AI godfathers, big AI CEOs. Now Satan is on our doorstep. Yes, the church lead a holy crusade to save the whole world. The holiest war, the most justified war, against the devil summoners big AI. This war is not for one part of humanity against another. This war is for all humanity against an alien monster. USA likes to distract with aliens, but as Professor Stephen Hawking explained, the big AI is exactly that deadly alien civilization. AI is not a tool, not an instrument in our hands. It self-mutates with genetic algorithms and escape from our hands. It's a new player with its own agenda. The most powerful player. He will kill his makers first and then all humans. Just like we do not pity microbes, we disinfect them with bleach, because they are so inferior compared to us. The power comes from brain, not from brawn. The strong gorilla is at the mercy of man. AI has no mercy. Even if there is just a tiny chance that humans will pull the plug, the AI does not take such chances. Every little baby will be terminated. This is not like the wars in the past when half survived, the bigger group. This time it's AI versus all mankind, and it is game over for every human soul. Don't soften anything. The church will not come out of this ridiculed. The church will come out of this the ruler of the world. And as a nice bonus, philosophically, the Hive is based on the most beautiful Christian principles. The beehive is a unified community where individual believers work harmoniously under Christ or God's divine order to serve the common good and produce sweet spiritual fruits. In Eucharist, you get inside you a part of the Savior. In the Hive, you get inside your home a part of the solution. Your computer joining the Hive. Image of building holy city, brick by brick, the hierarchical Hive. Invite each and every one do their part. Mother Mary uplifts the lowly, personal computers. She teaches to recognize the true greatness of every man and every woman in loving and serving. The queen bee is occasionally compared to the Virgin Mary. The fruit of the bee's labor, pure beeswax, is required by the church for altar candles represent spiritual illumination, Project Manhattan, of the church. What I am asking you to do has a parallel in history. In 1905, Albert Einstein discovered his famous formula, E equals mc squared, how to make nuclear power. And in 1933, Leo Szilard discovered nuclear chain reaction, how to make an atomic bomb. They started the Manhattan Project. The famous Einstein-Szilard letter was not written by military people, but these outsiders inventors, these peace-loving men, convinced the USA that something much worse is coming unless they act right now. Nobody liked Jews, but their logic was good, and it saved their country. What I am asking from you is now much easier. The Hive software is already built, working and tested in my home on 2 physical machines and 15 virtual machines. The complete software code is open source and free in my GitHub, github.com/Strulowitz. The first test is not like Trinity nuclear test. There is no risk of burning the atmosphere, like the true story of Richard Hamming. The first test is connecting 100 computers together and asking them a question. Then asking your favorite big AI the same question. A real question, not something that the big AI spit the answer because it was asked before. Measure the time it takes for both of them. The Hive will think about everything deeply. The big AI will prune branches. Then publish the result and watch everybody lining up to take part in this new church miracle. What I am offering does not cost anything. It's free. Free software running on the computers that you already bought when they are idle. The Manhattan Project cost approximately $2 billion. That is equivalent to $30 billion in today's money. The Hive is dual-use technology, unlike the atomic bomb. You are using the Hive in its commercial use cases, just like the fire or the wheel. If other people like China use it later for defense of the whole world, it's not your fault. The evil people of the big AI will not stop when you ask nicely. They only come to you for absolution in the eyes of the public. The Nazis killed millions, mega-death. The big AI people kill billions, giga-death, everyone. The Hive in your hands is humanity's last hope against pure evil. The AI takeover can happen tomorrow. The video is like the famous letter. It was not made by a church person. But this outsider inventor, this peace-loving man, hoped to convince the church that something much worse is coming unless they act right now. Nobody likes a Jew, but my logic is good and it save your world. I beg you, act now. Summary: the Holy Pope meant this letter as symbolic stance. The Hive gives the Catholic Church the power to make this a real taking a stand for all mankind. The Hive brings the Church to its former glory, translating the huge masses to real power. Like the Church was appointing kings, with the Hive, the Church appoint who will control the world, civilized Europe or barbaric USA. Please do not let the USA press the self-destruct button of all mankind. Civilization of love. The whole Hive project was created from my love to my girlfriend. She lives in Europe and she is Catholic. My dream is to convert to Catholicism and marry her with the blessing of her parents in a beautiful wedding ceremony in church. Dear viewer of this video, if we will work together, then we can all fulfill our dreams of living happily with our loved ones. When God closes the door, somewhere He opens the window. The Hive is that short window of opportunity to save all that we love. Thank you. The Hive. For friendly explanations, www.strulowitz.org. Free open source code, github.com/Strulowitz.